Welcome back. Have we got a big one for you today? One of the largest hedge fund investors makes a call for a dollar collapse in the near future. Then we have, to top it off, we have blockchain being used for overnight banking repo market by JPM Morgan. And guess what? SWIFT not going to be ready till 2023. Well, let me tell you this. They just got done completing the proof of concept for DLT on the ISO 22 de facto modern global payment standard. Let's roll that beautiful intro and get into this thing. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradley above at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Let's go ahead and get started and get into this thing. This is from CoinDesk this morning. MassMutual buys $100 million of Bitcoin. Bets on institutional adoption with 5 million NYDIG stake. Now, I went down into this article here, and here it is here. And look, this is what we're seeing. Hey, how do you know that the regular economy and the traditional markets are tanking and not doing well? Well, MassMutual's buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin. That's how you know. It's not exactly rocket science, right? Mike Novogratz, big Bitcoin investor, Wall Street hedge fund guy, now at Galaxy Digital, founder of that company, says this might be the most important Bitcoin news of 2020, talking about MassMutual purchasing $100 million position in Bitcoin for its general account. This needs federal approval. It's a huge deal. Shout out to Michael Val 5 Links for that one. And he's right, it is, because you know what they understand? They understand what you're about to hear Ray Dalio say. There is a reserve currency issue. It's not just a liquidity crisis. There is a reserve currency issue. Back in 1944, when Bretton Woods was really created, they created a couple things out of that meeting. It was the IMF, and they also chose to use the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency at that time. It has been in place since then. Obviously, it was on a gold standard. Then it was pulled off in late 60s, early 70s. And we've been without anything backing the fiat and the global currency or reserve currency, the U.S. dollar, ever since. Except, some people make an argument, the petro dollar, because of the oil, and everyone buys the oil through the U.S. dollar, and that helps support its value, which is certainly an argument in itself. But the reality is there is trouble coming. Let's go ahead and let Ray go ahead and tell you all about it.
In the years ahead. As far as the short-term debt cycle or the business cycle, we're 10 years into this expansion, and many of those stimulants that happen will be dissipating. We won't have more interest rate cuts that are material. You won't have more tax cuts and so on. And this is true around the world as we have our obligations. So we're coming into this period that is sort of a big sag, not a debt crisis in that way, but a lot of obligations that are coming at us, particularly in the mature reserve currency countries. And they include pension obligations, healthcare obligations, and the like, large deficits which will have to be monetized. They'll print money to deal with that. There's a reserve currency issue. And then, of course, we have the external conflict or the issues of the rising of a great power in the form of China rising and the United States having its let's say, relative decline. So we're at a point, I think, that is very similar to 1944. There's a war. At a war, after a period of war, there's a period which there's a peace because nobody wants to fight the country that has won the war, and there's a new world order. And there was a new monetary system. 1944, we established the dollar, reserve currency-based monetary system, and the like. And I think that all of those is going to really change the world order in dramatic ways in the next 10 years.
There you have it right there from Ray Dalio, one of the most successful hedge fund investors on the planet. And he's laying it down for you that we have a currency problem. Okay. And he's pointing at it. He's giving it to you. He is not beating around the bush here. And what I find interesting about that is it looks like 1944. You have a war, and then after the war, you have, nobody wants to fight anymore, and they move forward with a new system. What I would put forth is that we've already been in a war, and it has been a monetary war, not a physical war. Right now, we've seen a lot of wars going on, and currently right now, we don't see it going on in Iraq and Afghanistan and all those other places. Thank goodness, right? Because what a day that was when all of that was going on. But nevertheless, I think we've been in a monetary war with the currency manipulation through trade and all of those things. And then the introduction of something like Bitcoin has been a part of that monetary war as well. And I think we're about to see the bow break to introduce a new system which involves a bridge currency called XRP. Moving forward here, taking it to the international level, reminding everyone that Kristalina Georgieva also calls for a new Bretton Woods moment, aligning herself with Ray Dalio, or whatever, Ray aligning himself with the IMF. They're both calling for a new Bretton Woods moment. This is a post from Kristalina Georgieva, the managing director of the IMF. In 2021, we face a critical moment of opportunity to build forward better, not to build backward, in areas from climate to trade. The funny thing here is that when it comes to climate, it's IMF, the banking system. It's like, what do they got to do with climate change, right? Well, what they have to do is talking about, lessening the footprint when it comes to payments, right? And going green, right? Decarbonizing. Well, we know that the XRP ledger is certainly in an initiative now to decarbonize their usage by, I think it's 2030 or something like that, to zero or even sooner. And you look at trade and understand that because XRP is positioned perfectly to sit between all transactions where there is friction in the digital world, and you have from climate to trade, you have XRP serving both of those needs and efficiency. So pretty remarkable from the international level to domestic level to hear Ray Dalio and the IMF director lining up on the notion that there is a Bretton Woods moment coming to us soon. Then we look here and see that JPM Morgan already knows what's going on, because according to JPM Morgan, the blockchain-based repo transaction ensures in settlements and maturity of the transaction in hours as opposed to days. Take a look at this article. It's very short. JP Morgan conducts live repo transactions using blockchain solution. Very quickly, the repo market is the overnight market for banks when they need to borrow money from other banks that have a surplus when they are negative, so they can get their books right by next business day. They have since, and we have covered this extensively with co-host on this show, Cryptopolis, about the overnight repo market for a year and a half, if not more, about the liquidity crisis that has been going on in the repo market, so big that they eventually stopped reporting the overnight repo market and the gap between it, and how the Fed has been servicing that gap in the overnight repo market. Why is there a gap? There's a gap in the overnight lending market from banks to banks to reconcile their books by next business day, because the bigger banks, it's like musical chairs. The bigger banks that have a surplus don't want to lend overnight to the banks that don't have a surplus, because they know if your books aren't balanced, it's because the people and companies you've lent to are not able to pay, and they are defaulting on you, which means I don't want to lend you money to get your books right and reconcile before next business day, because I don't want to run out and not have a chair to sit in. And I'm concerned if I give you the money, I won't get it back. So then the Fed comes in and covers that spread and that gap that exists, which should not be in the repo market at all. And now we see steps to move to a blockchain system. And you go down through this article, and what you really see here is the use of the JPM coin for the repo market on the blockchain. Current repo market has some technical inefficiencies, and we identify blockchain technology as we reduce our clients' intraday risk profile, said Scott Lucas, head of markets DLT JPM Morgan. By deploying blockchain, we created new opportunities to streamline operational processes, accelerate settlement for repo. Our new solution will help unlock trap pockets of liquidity for intraday use and allow for reduced risk profiles for our clients and JPM Morgan. While the repo transaction is still in trial stages, plans for commercialization by 2021 are in place. I remind you here, this is why I've been running this PDF file from the World Economic Forum up your flagpole for almost a year now. When it's important, I'm going to make sure we don't forget it. And guess what? Page 17 says right here, crypto assets designed for inter or intrabank payment settlement is JPM coin and XRP. Yep. What I'm seeing here is that last January from this document from the World Economic Forum that says this is the framework in which you should design your central bank digital currencies, because we're going to be settling inter and intrabank payments and settlement like the repo market. And they just got done testing it with the JPM coin, which means they're probably already done testing it with the XRP token too. Come on in. Yeah, there's something big coming here because the test is already done as far as JPM Morgan's concerned. And I can guarantee you one thing, if I can guarantee you anything at all on this channel, the other banks of this world do not want a JPM coin. So there's going to be a bridge between all of these central bank digital currencies, because the banks in the repo market in cash to cash don't want to lend to each other already right now. So you know that's not going to change when we move to a digital system. We're just going to use a bridge currency to cut out all the clutter. Well, XRP has real-world utility in the form of payments, allowing cross-border payments in as little as 3 to 5 seconds. I believe the banks will be next in crypto adoption out of necessity. And I'm showing you this, and shout out to Michael Val 5 Links, because nailed it. This is exactly what I just pointed out to you, and is exactly what is happening right before our eyes. Don't let it get by you like, oh, that was good today, and then I'm just going to go right back to thinking whatever tomorrow. We are crossing a threshold, a transformation. You want to talk about a crossing of the Rubicon? This is it. Let's keep going. Then we look at the OMFIF that this just came out, and shout out to Jesus Tejero who sent me this, I believe it was. And this is the Official Monetary Financial Institutions Forum. This is an international independent agency that makes economic and global recommendations for policy. And in here, they talk about DLT technology. That's right, just like JPM and the World Economic Forum, and the public-private relationship being so very important to achieve this goal for payments around the world. And then it talks here, too, it even mentions Ripple. It says the other models which still leverage and are linked to fiat value, for example, challenger fintech actors such as Ripple, which employ DLT to facilitate movements of fiat currency between financial institutions by acting as bridging digital assets. Exactly. And I want to remind everyone right now, when you hear people say DLT or blockchain, but not the crypto, it's impossible to separate the two. It's impossible to separate the two. That's not my opinion. That's Brian Brooks from the OCC explained that point. They are just omitting the conversation of discussing XRP directly. Come on in. To build on that notion, yesterday, we heard Bank of America launches cross-border payments tracker, expands SWIFT GPI support to 140 plus currencies. You don't say. Now, I thought that SWIFT GPI wasn't going to be up and ready to go till 2023. Now, You wouldn't suppose they would lie to us little retail folk, would you? Lloyds Bank is the first bank in the world to connect to SWIFT GPI on December 2nd. Now, wait a second. I happen to know. I just so happen to know that Lloyds Bank and Bank of America happen to settle a lot of derivatives back end internationally. You don't suppose this whole SWIFT GPI thing and the change of the CFTC rule to allow settlement companies outside of the U.S. settle derivatives for us, possibly using SWIFT GPI R3 and distributed ledger technology with the ISO 2022 de facto global payment standard, do you? Oh boy, maybe we should just let Swift tell you. This is from XRP Yo-Yo right here. Listen to this little fancy clip from my man from Swift. Listen to this.
We're delighted with the outcome of our DLT proof of concept exercise that was looking at the application of the technology to the problem of liquidity management, which is a serious problem for banks. One of the things that it allowed us to do was to confirm our conviction that the use of standards, business standards with DLT is going to be critical to getting their widespread acceptance. We were very careful to ensure that we used ISO 20022 business definitions for the data exchanged by the participants using the DLT technology. And that was important because when we came to integrate that technology into the back offices of the banks, we found that they were already familiar with the terminology and the data that we were specifying on the DLT, and it therefore made integration much more straightforward.
Oh, there's so much going on in that 51 seconds, but let me bring you right here. Listen to this.
And that was important because when we came to integrate that technology into the back offices of the banks,
we came to integrate the technology into the back office of the banks. This is what they found.
We found that they were already familiar with the terminology and the data that we were specifying on the DLT, and it therefore made integration much more straightforward.
Integration much more straightforward because it's done. That's what he's telling you. It's done. And this is where I remind you that Ripple is now a part of the ISO 2022 standards body, the first member focused on, what is it they like to say? DLT, distributed ledger technology. Oh my, oh my, oh my. And if that wasn't enough, we see them coming at it, them being banks, from JPM Morgan to Bank of America to Lloyds Bank of London, right? To the entire standards body committee for the de facto global standard for modern payments, ISO 2022, bringing Ripple onto that committee to focus, the first member to focus on distributed ledger technology. They are coming at it. They're in place as far as I'm concerned. That's what I just heard him say. It is done. And what I hear here is this is a double-sided thing because look at this. I reminded you of this yesterday with Piyush Gupta, who is the CEO of DBS Bank, who's rolling out a digital exchange. So not only are banks getting themselves together when it comes to updating their system and getting cross-border payments dialed in to be able to take advantage of the new technology like distributed ledger technology and the use of XRP for settlement, but we're also seeing them get into crypto exchange business. They're getting this thing from both ends. I'll meet you in the middle. That's what's happening here. Now, this is so exciting, and I have to say it really, really is. And they're offering 4 different fiat currency pairs and 4 of the most established cryptocurrency, namely Bitcoin, Ether, Bitcoin Cash, and yes, XRP. Now, a little Flare news, because I know that there's always a lot of people interested in finding out as much as they can about Flare and Spark tokens. The drop is tomorrow. The snapshot, the final snapshot is tomorrow. I know they took a snapshot on the 9th for some of the exchanges and participating partners. Like I know they took a snapshot. First snapshot was on the 9th for iTrust, and they'll be doing another one on the 11th today, which actually lines up with the UTC time at midnight, which I believe is over in Europe or London, or I believe. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But I just know that the December 12th timeline here in the States is actually on the 11th when that 12th happens at UTC time. So I know it's a little confusing with the time zones, but that's where we're at. But if you want to get some clarity about what's going on with this stuff, there's a great channel out here, and it's by Arthur Twiggs. CFTT TV. Go over, hit the like and subscribe, and watch everything. This is a really great channel. It does a lot of things from conspiracy theories and things of that nature, which I absolutely love. I think you guys know that about me. And I love speculating anything. And also, he just does a great job. He actually uses some highlights in here, and not in this. I'm going to play you a little commercial from the channel, which is great. But you should go watch it because he took out some highlights from myself, Mickey B. Fresh, and Hugo Filion from Flare Networks, and the interview that we did, along with information that he brings in. And if you want a nice condensed video that really just kind of clears your mind and gets what you need to know right out of the way and lay it on the table here, this video is done really well. I'm just going to play this out for you guys. Make sure you check out the links in the description box and the comment section. Some great deals going on right now with Nano X, $25 giveaway for free crypto when you buy a Nano X. You're getting $25 worth of crypto. Pure VPN still running 80% off. Protect your anonymity online. I Trust Capital's got 1 month for free. Now let's watch this little quick clip here from Arthur Twiggs, CFTT TV. I'll catch you on the next one.
For those of you involved in cryptocurrencies, more specifically XRP, this is an important show. For those of you that are not involved in cryptos, you need to be. The one thing that I know is that Ripple-Flare relationship is going to be a very exciting and hopefully rewarding for those that hold XRP. The launch of the Flare network Spark token will be a definite driver of XRP as a part of the global liquidity platform. If things are a little unclear right now, stick with me. I'm introducing you to a new form of money and a new way to invest. You need to know, according to Forbes, Ripple's XRP is the third largest crypto coin by market cap after Bitcoin and Ethereum, and has soared over the last month. Who can claim the Spark token? All XRP owners, barring Ripple Labs and certain previous employees of Ripple Labs, can claim the Spark token. How many Spark tokens are available to claim? Approximately 45 billion, plus or minus. How is the distribution apportioned? Right now, there are about 45 billion XRP tokens that are distributed to non-Ripple Lab holders.